Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Beck. I'm a professional mindset coach, a medical doctor, and the founder of the group coaching program, Dare Darling. Dare Darling is a space for successful women to learn to self-advocate. These are the women, you are the women who have all of those societal success boxes ticked in your life. We look at your life from the outside in and think, wow, she's got it all. But you know in yourself that there's more. And there's more because the way you've gotten your success is through hard work and doing the right thing. And while your hard work is impressive and noble, as is your ability to decide and commit to what is right and execute in line with that, you've come to a point in your life now where you realize that that idea of the right thing, these ideas about what you should do, and these concepts of what combination of what will make you happy in your life needs to be individualized. That so far, all of your formulas and all of your decisions have come largely from external sources, from external expectations, from external stories about what it is to be successful and what will make you fulfilled. Dare Darling is a place where you learn to see yourself and hear yourself so that you can make decisions that are truly for yourself, and therefore decisions that advocate for yourself and what you want and create a life that is ultimately rewarding and fulfilling for you. You've got the hard work down pat. Now it's time to recorrect your course so that it serves you. So if that sounds like you, there is a link below to hear about all things Dare Darling. Now, today's video is going to help you understand and see yourself more, and also help yourself show up in the world in a way that you're proud of. Today's focus is on the adage that what somebody else says or thinks or does towards us has more to say about them than about us. But today, we're going to flip it on to you. So what I mean by this is I want you to examine your judgments of other people, including the assumptions you make about other people, what they say and what they do and what you share with them, and have a look at what that says about you. Stay with me. I know this is a little bit convoluted. While this is nuanced, I want to start with telling you first why this is important to me, and therefore you might be able to see if and why this is important to you too. Examining this part of myself, the assumptions and the judgments that I make about other people, is really important to me, because it's important to me what I tend to think about other people. It speaks to me about what my outlook is on the world and what my general conceptions are, what my general ideas about other people are. Now, as much as it matters to me, and it is a personal value of mine that I lean towards defaulting to thinking the best of other people, this isn't just important on a theoretical level to me, but it's important to me because I know that what I think affects my emotions and therefore my behaviors from the cognitive program, and therefore it affects the results that I create in my life with my responses. These responses start from my judgments, my thoughts about these other people. So let me give you a more concrete example. If my thought about somebody is that they're attacking me, and therefore my emotion associated with that is defensive, that judgment and its emotion is going to flow into my behaviors. In this case, I'm interacting with somebody, and my next behavior is going to come from a defensive place. Say, for example, here, my behavior is that I shut down and I stop fully interacting with this person or fully engaging with the initial goal that I had with interacting with them. I stopped fully pursuing the change that I wanted to create, or even just being able to have a certain experience or vulnerable moment with this other person. Whatever my goal might have been with this person, I've shut down from that goal, that intention, from the emotion of defensiveness. And that defensiveness came from this assumption, this judgment that I made about them. So all of this to say, I'm bringing this video to you today because I know for me, what I think about people not only is important in terms of it's one of my guiding values in life. I like to think the best of people, or at least start with the best assumption of people. And aside from that, in particular, being a value of mine related to this, also, I know that the judgments, the assumptions that I make of other people do ultimately impact the results that I create in my life. So if you decided that this concept matters to you too, that you care about what you tend to think or what your outlook tends to be on other people, you care about the assumptions that you make about other people, then you're in the right place. And I'm telling you, this is going to give you ongoing, amazing work to do in your life to open and expand your life and keep becoming the kind of person that you really want to be. So let's dig in a little bit more to this adage that what somebody else says or thinks about you has more to do with them than with you. And flipped, what you think about somebody else or say about somebody else, what you assume or judge in somebody else has more to do with you than with them. I want to take a bit of a controversial example here to help walk us through this situation and help you examine in your life the places that you might like to rethink or be more thoughtful, be more attentive to what your default thoughts are about another person and the decisions that flow on from that. And ultimately to be able to check, do I like these assumptions or do I want to reroute them? Do I want to choose to think something different here? Do I want to choose to take another perspective that's more in line with my values and that's more aligned with the result or more likely to create the result that I want to create through the cognitive program? So this example is of respect. So how to act respectful or what is respectful is controversial because people have very different ideas of what behaviors come from the feeling of respect. In some people's minds, to be respectful, and I've actually had a conversation with somebody in a leadership meeting with this, who was adamant or in their mind believed that what is respectful to the people seen to them in their professional hierarchy is to not question them, to blindly take orders, to always agree with them, their method or what they think in general, to be subordinate, to conform. Respect to them is knowing your place, understanding that you are below that person in the hierarchy, and simply receiving their orders and advice and executing on them. Now, this is quite different to the concept of respect that I've developed in my personal life. And this is not to say that one is right or wrong. If anything, this is to say that this is a subjective word. Respect doesn't necessarily have one set of actions associated with it. But this is why it's a great example that what we say or think has more to do with us than the person that we're saying it to or thinking it about. Respect, in my mind, looks very different to this. And actually, if anything, I would find these behaviors from somebody junior to me to be quite disrespectful and even insulting. And let me tell you why. So to me, and certainly when I think about working in medicine, working as a doctor, if I'm working with somebody who I don't feel comfortable with questioning, somebody who I don't think is open to feedback, somebody who I don't think is open to questions, simply, somebody who I don't think is interested in different perspectives, to me, those thoughts that I have are quite insulting. They're not actually thoughts of respect for that person. Because behind those judgments I've made of them, behind those assumptions that I've made of them, or even let's just say behind those things I've learned about them, let's say that I've factually seen in repeated situations, example after example, that these are things that tend to be true about this person. They're not open to questions. They're not willing to change their perspective or consider different perspectives, and they get defensive or don't take feedback very well. These things, as examples, are actually things that are quite insulting, I think, to another person. So my decisions to not ask them questions or give them feedback or explore different perspectives with them is actually quite insulting to them. Because in my mind, I'm saying that these are weaknesses that they have. So my subordination here, my conformity, my lack of questioning or engaging with them, my lack of giving feedback is not an act of respect in my case. And if anything, it's an insult. Listen, I am insulting them with the assumption that they won't take on the feedback. I am insulting them with the judgment that they won't handle the feedback well. I am insulting them with the idea that they believe that their one and only perspective is all that could be true, and calling them arrogant in that way, judging them as arrogant in that way, and not believing that they would be willing or interested to take on other perspectives. These are insults in my judgments. My decision to not give feedback or ask questions or probe for different perspectives, in this case, to not speak up, is insulting. And it says more about what I think about them than about them themselves. You with me? Now, all of these things that I'm thinking might be true, but I always want us to recognize what we are choosing to accept as true about another person and making sure we like our reasoning there. Because if I'm the kind of person who wants to give other people respect, other humans in their lives, whether they are higher up in the hierarchy, below me, at my side, or it's not even professional related, it's just another person, in my personal life, or even just a stranger on the street who I'll never see again. One of my values certainly is to think the best of people, to lead with good, positive assumptions about other people's intents and missions and value that they can add in the world. And if my mind's defaulting to not asking questions, giving feedback, or not probing for different perspectives in this situation, then I am not leading with my best thoughts and assumptions about this other person. This doesn't say more about them. This isn't because they necessarily are somebody who is incapable of asking more of themselves in that moment, or somebody who couldn't actually engage in that level of discussion in that moment. But it says more about my thoughts about them. And this is what I want to give everybody the opportunity to own in their lives as well. Let's be really careful of what we think about others, the judgments and assumptions that we make about others. Why? Because you care about the way that you show up in the world. You care about how your thoughts affect your emotions, which then affect your behaviors and results, or you wouldn't be watching this channel. And on that note, thank you so much for tuning in to another video and being the kind of person who does care. Being the kind of person who chooses to do this work, turn around and examine themselves instead of always pointing the fingers at everybody else, instead of wanting to blame everybody else and justify why other people can do better and why other people should change instead of us. Thank you for being an example of the change that you want to see in the world. And with that, my beautiful friends, I will see you in my next one.